this historic signing by Governor Bill Ritter of an executive order on brain injury services. Please join me in thanking the governor and his administration for their support and awareness of what has been called until recently a silent epidemic. Not only has his staff worked closely with the brain injury community, but his wife, Jeannie, spoke passionately about the needs of the disabled at our 2007 conference. Unfortunately, traumatic brain injury has become the signature injury of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, where approximately 20% of our soldiers have returned with at least a mild TBI. As the president of BIAC and the father of a brain-injured son, I am here with all of you to commemorate the signing of an executive order to create a multi-departmental effort to increase the awareness of the over 100,000 people in Colorado who have suffered long-term brain injuries and to coordinate the delivery of these services to these people statewide. Many people here today have been part of this process. In addition to the governor, you will hear from Human Services Director Karen Bai and Adjutant General Michael Edwards, as well as from peer advocate Mark Condon and veteran Patrick Curson, both of whom have suffered brain injuries. Also here with me today are State Senator Nancy Spence, who will be carrying a bill to extend the life of the TBI Trust Fund and is a Craig Hospital board member. And there are additional people such as Terrence McWilliams, who was a command staff sergeant at Fort Carson for 5 years and is now with the El Palmar Foundation. I'd be remiss, however, if I didn't mention several other people who were critical to this important occasion that we're celebrating today. I apologize in advance if I miss anyone. Included are George Kawamura and Steve Shapiro, both BIAC board members, Kenny Hosak, who's the chairman of the TBI Trust Fund and a founder of the Colorado Head Injury Foundation, which was the predecessor to BIAC, and Nancy Smith and Bill Hanna of the Department of Human Services. I also would like to recognize the soldiers that are here today from Fort Carson and from the Northern Command who have come up from Colorado Springs. Finally, I'd like to give thanks to Sue Curtin and the BIAC staff and to Jennifer Anderson and Denver Options for helping all of us find our way in the Capitol, which, as you can tell, is under renovation. And I'd also like to thank of all of you who've made it today, because this is a tremendous turnout. With that, let me introduce Human Services Director Karen Bai, who is responsible for oversight of Colorado's county social and human services, public substance abuse and mental health, developmental disabilities, juvenile corrections, vocational rehabilitation, and state veterans nursing homes, to say a few words. Karen?
Thank you very much. I am honored to be with you today and pleased to have the opportunity to serve as the lead agency on the executive order that Governor Ritter will sign. Earlier this year, I met with many of you at the Brain Injury Association conference and was so struck by your passion, your willingness to work together and find solutions and find ways of making a difference. But even more, I think, I was struck by your willingness not only to give to each other, but to give to the community of Colorado as a whole when we look at the number of persons with brain injury who struggle with the challenges of brain injury every day, whose families struggle to make do every day, and I am just very, very pleased to be a part of all of you. Collaboration, cross-system integration have been the hallmarks of the Ritter administration that I have been proud to serve, and I am very, very pleased to join with my colleagues from a variety of agencies to really figure out ways that we can come together and sort out the issues, eliminate the barriers, remove the stovepipes, and find a way to bring the services together for those who need them to help them be the best that they can possibly be and to live very productively across Colorado. there are, at any day in Colorado, about 100,000 plus people living and struggling with the challenges of traumatic brain injury from a variety of things and from a variety of injuries. Certainly it was brought home to us, I think, as we looked at the conference and some of the agenda items on the conference, the number of young veterans who are coming back with traumatic brain injuries and trying to find a way to address those issues. But equally as important, and sometimes I think we forget, the struggle it is for families to address those issues and how hard it is for families to sort of resolve the differences in terms of veterans who left and came back very, very changed. So we are anxious to move forward. We are anxious to get to work in terms of revitalizing the traumatic brain injury. I am very pleased that Senator Spence is going to sponsor a bill for us this year to expand the trust fund. And with that new piece of legislation, we anticipate being able to do much more than we have done. And I appreciate your all being here and coming out today. And thank you very much. I look forward to working with all of you on this very important issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Our next speaker suffered a severe brain injury in 1981 and was in a coma for 32 days. After years of slow but steady improvement, Mark Condon graduated with a rehabilitation counseling master's degree in 1998. He now works as a rehabilitation counselor for the Brain Injury Association and has his own company to help persons with brain injuries and their families. Mark Condon.
After coming out of my coma, the never-ending struggle to be normal greeted me each day. As my self-awareness began to resurface, it felt as though I was in prison because I could do some things, but not everything. People couldn't see my prison bars. My disability was invisible. Traumatic brain injury is an invisible disability, yet it will cause some survivors to be less human, more so than other acquired disabilities. At the time of my accident, the state of Michigan had no executive order in place that designated a department to take the lead on traumatic brain injury or to coordinate services for survivors. The state had not studied brain injury, and there were no recommendations on public and private partnerships. In the hospital and afterwards, I couldn't understand what was happening. My family didn't know what to expect. When they asked what services were available, no one could give them an answer. We had to seek out service providers and learn through trial and error which therapies worked and which ones didn't. I was a hockey player and a rugby player.